Hello and welcome to this lecture. And in this lecture, let's actually go ahead and learn something about adding API endpoints to our REST API. So now the name API endpoints might sound a little bit confusing, but let's go ahead and take an example and it will all make sense to you. So let's go to the model, which is the movie data model right here. And now as you can see, we have a bunch of fields in there. So we have the name of the movie, the duration of the movie, and rating of the movie. So let's say you actually want your API to work in a way which allows the users to use your API in a manner that they should be able to get different types of movies upon request. So let's say, for example, if they only want to request for action movies, they should get action movies. If they only want comedy movies, they should only get the comedy movies and they should not get anything else. So how exactly can we go ahead and implement this in our REST API? So we can do that by using something which is called as API endpoints. So let's go ahead and learn how exactly can we do that. So in order to categorize our movies, we actually need to have a field in our movie data model which allows us to determine which category does this particular movie belong to. So here what we will do is that we will make a slight modification to this particular model by adding a new field which is called as type. So I can type in type here, but as type is actually a keyword, we cannot use that. Instead, I'll just go ahead and add typ over here. So this ty field is going to give us information about the type of movie, and it can be an action movie, a comedy movie, thriller, or something like that. So let's go ahead and add in models.character field for this particular field, and let's set the max length to 200. And also we need to have some default value for the current fields which we have just created. So let's say the current movies which we have in our database are all action movies. So I'll type in default equals action. So once we have that, we are pretty much good to go. Now as we have made changes to this particular model, now we need to make migrations once again. So let's open up the terminal. First of all, stop the server here. And now in order to make migrations, I'll type in python 3 manage.py make migrations. Then I need to type in python 3 manage.py SQL migrate, that's going to be movies 0002. Now let's go ahead and type in python 3 manage.py migrate. And when I go ahead and hit enter, the modifications to the database are now complete. And now, once the model is modified, the next thing which we need to do is that we need to create a special kind of view in our views.py file. So let's jump into the views.py file right here. And let's say you need to create a view for action movies. So now, as I earlier mentioned, we can now go ahead and create different kinds of views for different categories of movies. So here's how exactly you can do that. You can type in class, the name of the view. So let's say as we are working with action movies, I can type in action view set, and this is going to inherit from viewsets.model viewset. So there's nothing new here. We are simply going to use the same code as we had over here, but the only thing which we are going to change is that while querying the database, we are not going to query, or we are not going to get all of the objects, but we are actually going to filter objects by type. So I can type in query set equals movie data dot objects dot filter, and we are going to filter movies on the basis of their type. So the type is going to be action over here. And now we'll, as usual, mention the serializer class, which is movie serializer. So once we have that, we are pretty much good to go. So now once we have this particular view, we need to set up a URL pattern for it over here in the urls.py file. So the very first thing which we are going to do here is that we are no longer going to use the default router, but we are going to use something which is called as a simple router. So change this default router to simple router. And now once we have the simple router, we can now go ahead and register the newly created view right over here. So you can type in router.register. And then let's assign a URL of action to this particular new view. And that's actually going to be action view set. So action view set. And we also need to make sure that we import action view set over here. So in order to import action view set, we go ahead and type in comma action view set. And once we do that, we are pretty much good to go. Now once this view is actually registered, let's actually go ahead, save this, and let's run the server. So python 3 manage.py run server. Let's open up our browser. And if we go to movies, we have this. And if we go to action, as you can see, we almost have all the movies here because all of them are action movies. Now let's do one thing. Let's actually try to add a movie with some different type. So right now, if you go down over here, as you can see, this does not actually allow you to add a field which is the type field. So in order to modify that, what you can simply do is that you can go to the serializers.py file, and in here also add type, which is typ. And now if you go back over here and hit refresh, as you can see, now this form should allow us to add the type of the movie as well. So let's go ahead and create a new movie. Let's call it as comedy movie. Let's see, the duration is 1 hour. Let's see, the rating is 4.8, and the type is obviously going to be comedy. And when I go ahead and click post, as you can see, now we do have a comedy movie over here. But now if we actually go ahead and type in action over here, let's see what do we get. So when I type in action, as you can see, now you only get an action movie over here and not the comedy movie which we have just created. And that's because the type of that movie is different. So now if you actually want to create a separate endpoint for the comedy movie, what you simply need to do is that you need to repeat the same steps as we have done for this particular action movie. So what you can simply do over here is that you can go ahead and simply create a new class over here for our new view, which is going to be the comedy category. So you can type in class comedy view set. You can type in viewsets.model view set, and then you can also make a query set like movie data.objects.filter, and this time we are going to add a filter which says type is equal to comedy, and then the serializer class is going to be the same, which is the movie serializer. So now once we have this, let's go ahead and add a URL for this as well. So in here, let's go ahead and register a new route. So I'll type in router.register. This is going to be comedy, and this is going to be comedy view set. And make sure that you have imported the comedy view set over here. So once we are done with this, we are pretty much good to go. So now let's see if the server is up and running, and we do have some error over here in line number 18. So let's go over there, and I'm actually missing a equal sign over here. So once we add that, we are pretty much good to go. So now if I type in comedy over here and hit enter, as you can see, it's actually showing us 2 comedy movies over here. And I guess I have accidentally added the same movie twice, and henceforth we are getting the 2 movies right over here. But now let's actually go ahead and add another comedy movie. Let's type in new comedy movie. The duration is, let's say, 2 hours. Let's see, the rating is 5. The type should be comedy. Let's click post. And now if you actually visit comedy, as you can see, now you have 3 movies right over here which are comedy movies. And now if you want action movies, you can type in action. Now you have a list of action movies, and if you only want movies, you can simply type in movies here, and you are going to get all the movies, that is action movies as well as comedy movies. So that's it for this lecture, and hopefully you guys now understood what API endpoints actually are and what is their use. So the API endpoints actually allow you to give different sorts of results to the end user using a different URL right over here. So when you only want to display a certain kind of information to the user, you can have different endpoints for different types of info. So that's it for this lecture, and in the next lecture we will go ahead and learn how to add image fields to your API. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.